Due to technical difficulties, the story before Reverend Robyn Plante's talk was not recorded. It has now been added and narrated by Jack Nalbandian. A father and a son were walking to the market with their donkey. On the road they overheard people talking. "Look at these fools, both of them walk in the hot sun. Neither rides the donkey." So the father put the boy on the donkey. After a while, they passed another group who commented, "Look at this strong boy. Is this the youth of today? No respect for the elderly. He's riding the donkey while his poor old father has to walk." After these people had passed them, the young boy felt ashamed and insisted his father ride the donkey while he walked. So the boy got off and the father rode the donkey. Short time later, they passed more people who said, "Now look at this. The poor young boy has to walk while his father is riding the donkey." When these people passed by, the father said to the son, "I think the best solution is if we both ride. That way we can avoid any criticism." And so they did. After a short distance, they came across other people who said, "Look at that poor donkey having to carry both of them. He's exhausted." So they both got off the donkey, and the man carried the donkey. When the people saw this, they laughed, pointing at the poor man laboring in the heat under the weight of the donkey, and said, "Look at that silly old man carrying the donkey. Why would you go to the trouble of having a donkey to carry it everywhere?" The man put down the donkey, and the father and son walked as they had in the beginning of the journey. Now the father turned to his son and said, "This shows us how difficult it is to adjust to other people's opinions. The truth is, you can't please everyone, so you just have to do what you know is right and please God." This is from the Sufi tradition, Mullah Nasruddin, teaching stories, Holy Fool, Wise Fool.
To make clear whatever you wish to know. Yes. So let's turn to that light of God within with some affirmations. And I'll say the whole affirmation first, and we'll do a call and repeat with the segments of it. So the all-knowing mind of God is flowing through me now. The all-knowing mind of God is flowing through me now. The all-knowing mind of God is flowing through me now. Let's say it all together. The all-knowing mind of God is flowing through me now. Let's say that one more time. The all-knowing mind of God is flowing through me now. I turn my mind to God for wisdom and guidance. I turn my mind to God for wisdom and guidance. Again, I turn my mind to God for wisdom and guidance. I turn my mind to God for wisdom and guidance. Wisdom and love lift me up, love me up, and light me up. Wisdom and love lift me up, love me up, and light me up. That is hand motions if you want to do that. Wisdom and love lift me up, love me up, and light me up. Wisdom and love lift me up, love me up, and light me up. Centered in divine wisdom, I trust the whispers of truth. Centered in divine wisdom, I trust the whispers of truth. Centered in divine wisdom, I trust the whispers of truth. Let's breathe that in. I feel good. Your cell's doing a happy dance. Yeah. So have you heard the whisper of truth lately? That still small voice of guidance? Who's heard that lately? Yeah, we have to listen for it, don't we? Sometimes it's easier to go, yeah, okay, whatever, and ignore it. But if you've heard that whisper of truth, I saw a lot of hands go up, have you acted on it? That's the second part. Yeah. And guess what? You can still act on it. So some of you know I'm on sabbatical from church leadership right now for ministry, and I'm taking some time to focus on a writing project that's really important to me. And I kept putting it off because the whisper of guidance would say, you need to finish this book. You need to spend some time with that. I think later. But the whisper got louder. And so I finally listened, and it's been a journey because you don't know, often when you follow Spirit, you don't have the whole plan. It's like driving in the fog with the headlights. You just have to keep going and trusting. And that's faith too, isn't it? When you follow Spirit, that the road will be revealed when you need to know it. So I keep listening, and I keep being amazed at what the road reveals. And who knows where I will be in the end of summer. We'll see. I'll keep you posted. So think about this guidance. What is it whispering to you? What is your guidance whispering to you? Think about, if there's something you've been wanting to do, maybe you set aside or postpone or put off, that your wisdom keeps going like this, very gentle, nudging you to attend to. But everybody has something, even if it's a little something like that. And here's the thing, if you knew you could not fail, what step would you take this week? Yeah. I invite you to take that into prayer and meditation this week. So we know the power of our thoughts and our feelings to create, to co-create with God, our experience of life. And we can call on our powers of wisdom and love to bring those dreams and heartfelt desires to fruition, to life. And often it's not so much the goal. The goal is good. The dream coming true is good. But it's who we become in the process. Because it's that trusting and stepping out of our comfort zone to that greater calling. So have you ever made a decision based on what you thought was love and left wisdom behind? I bet there's some relationship stories. I have some too. You know, later you go, oh yeah, there were red flags showing up all over the place. I didn't want to see it, neither. No, not gonna look. But thankfully, experience is the best teacher, right? So wisdom asks, what is the best course of action? And love asks, what is the best for all concerned? So you see how that's a little bit different, isn't it? Love adds that other dimension to it. And love reminds us that everyone matters. Everyone matters, including ourselves. And love prompts us to ask. I found this really helpful because, this is a room full of givers, and if we've been overgiving in our lives in some area with family or wherever, we have to remember that love asks us this: if I knew that I mattered too in this situation, what would I choose? What would I decide? Everyone matters. So love does not mean being a doormat or a martyr or a people pleaser to our own detriment. And Sunshine told me the title of a good book. What was that, Sunshine?
Saying yes to you is not good for me. I don't know the exact.
Saying yes to you is not good when saying yes to you is not good for me.
Yeah. I don't. That's not the exact name, but that's what I meant.
Yeah, so that wisdom is trusting what is good for all. That everyone's a win-win in the situation. So love, working with wisdom, usually promotes the best outcome. I like Charles Fillmore and his words on wisdom. He says, wisdom is intuitive knowing, spiritual intuition, the voice of God as our source of understanding. Mental action based on the Christ truth within. So that takes some practice listening to that, doesn't it? Yeah. He continues, wisdom includes judgment, discernment, intuition, and all departments of mind that come under the head of knowing. This knowing capacity transcends intellectual knowledge. Isn't that where we get hung up sometimes? The intellect argues with the intuition. Oh, I know that happened last night. I love camping, and I was camping last night, and this little boy said, "You might want to roll up the windows." Although I like a lot of fresh air, so when it started raining at 8 this morning, like, okay, yeah, I argued with it there. Yeah, thankfully I could get up and close the windows. So we remember that there's only one mind, the mind of God. And we have access, each of us does, to that greater knowing that goes beyond acquiring facts and information. And wisdom is different from knowledge. Knowledge is the gathering of information, and wisdom decides how to use that information. And love directs us to use it in the direction of healing and unifying and harmonizing. And isn't this a great time to use our power of discernment when we're just bombarded with so much information, a lot of it conflicting, a lot of it disturbing, to discern what is true, what is partially true. Maybe this was true yesterday, but not today. There's so much that we can exercise this power of discernment. And where is love in all of this? Where is God in all of this? Where can I be? How can I be showing up as that Spirit of God in this? And it cracks me up too sometimes, especially with health, things about health. This is healthy. No, it's not. Eat this for, longevity. No, it's not. It's just like this ping pong that can really promote anxiety if we're not paying attention. So we are paying attention, right? We are paying attention and praying attention, praying intention as well. So we can leave the confusion behind, because wisdom is not found in confusion. Wisdom is found in the peace within our own hearts. So we make time for that. We make time for that this week, going with that. Yeah. So let's look at these three aspects of our gift of wisdom and maybe how we can use them to use judgment, discernment, and intuition. In the Bible, we find many references in using wisdom and judgment wisely, as Jesus taught in John 7:24. Do not judge by appearances, but judge with right judgment. So that right judgment is that higher view, going to God first, to prayer first. And also this teaching from Matthew 7:1-2. Do not judge so that you may not be judged. For with the judgment you make, you will be judged. And the measure you give will be the measure you get. Sound like what goes around comes around. You sit down, boomerangs to you. So Jesus taught the importance of judging with right judgment through the eyes of that Christ mind, that higher self, rather than appearances. And isn't it very human to struggle with appearances? But so much of what we judge as fact may be appearances that we have seen through our filter of experience. What's that saying? If all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. I like this. From author Glenn Clark. We see facts with our eyes, ideas with our minds, and ideals with our souls. Whatever we see with our souls is real and permanent and cannot be destroyed. Yeah. So the power of wisdom illuminates a new way of seeing and a deep knowing. And ability to hear the voice of Spirit, that still small voice, the voice of God within. And when we hear that, to proceed confidently, it takes courage, doesn't it? It takes faith, too, and courage to step out and take action on this guidance, which can lead us to activating another aspect of wisdom, which is the discernment. Right judgment, discernment. And right now, all of you in this community are going through this discernment process, aren't you, with the new minister search? And maybe some of you wish it's happening faster, but discernment takes its own time, doesn't it? Because we get to slow down and ask questions in periods of discernment. And so you all are practicing that right now. And asking questions like, which person, what spiritual leader will be the best fit for this time period and this community now that we're going through. So trust in your power of discernment as a collective and know that that right leader is already there in the absolute and will come walking through these stores and feel the love here. Yeah. So discernment invites us to slow down. A lot of times we don't like to slow down. We want it now, fast, scroll, yes, what's next? But discernment says, no, wait, let's look. And you looked over here yet. Let's look over, let's consider. It invites us to look closely, and allow space for questioning and visioning and praying and giving them breath, that pause for new ideas to show up. I learned about this in my first church where I was a spiritual leader as a licensed teacher. And in the sanctuary, it was a cute little church in Northern California. In the sanctuary, it was filled with crosses. Behind the lectern was a giant wooden cross. And on the piano was a giant brass cross. And on the lectern was a cross carved in the walnut lectern. And even there were windows on either side, and they had the divided mullions, I think they're called. And when the sun shone through, there were crosses on the carpet. So many had strong opinions about this. Some of them loved it, didn't want to get rid of anything. And there were others who said, oh my gosh, can we do something about this? They would say, oh, it reminds me of bad experiences in the church of my childhood. Can we, can we do something here? So we discussed it as a board, and opinions there were divided too. And we could have voted it and pushed it, but that didn't feel right. So we decided to put it into prayer, and knowing that we all had access to the mind of God, and that the perfect solution would reveal itself. So at monthly board meetings, we would check in, okay, how are we doing with this? Any new ideas? No? Okay, back to prayer. And it took about 6 months when an idea came through a board member who was also an artist. And she said, what if we can honor both opinions, both people's needs? And she said, what if we moved the big cross over to the side wall and made a special little prayer area with a little plaque where we can say what unity says the cross is, crossing out the negative, thinking and living from that heart of spirit and earthly experience. And people lit up and go, oh yeah, that'd be good. So it was quite beautiful. And then she asked, well, what can we put in the big space here that would honor and represent unity? And so we brainstormed some ideas, and what came was she painted a mural of this blue sky. This picture, this whole thing is a blue sky, puffy white clouds, and this dove bursting out of the clouds, just with a halo of light. It was stunning. Walked in there, was stunning. So both sides were happy. The Catholic Church across the street got the big brass cross. They were thrilled. The walnut podium was carved by a congregant, and we kept it. It was really beautiful. Couldn't do anything about the windows. So it was a compromise, and both were honored. Both concerns and desires were honored. And I was just amazed that, when we gave time and space, Spirit revealed a perfect solution. And to me, it was a lasting example, a powerful example of wisdom and love working together. All voices were heard and valued. And so discernment, it takes time, but it's worth it. So the last piece I want to share with you about wisdom is intuition. Intuition, that internal yes or no. So how do you recognize your intuition? You get a little voice, a little tingle, a little gut, yes and no. People have different ways of discerning that, right? So the body knows too. Sometimes, you get an inkling that someone's looking at you and you turn around and they are looking at you. So we each have our own awareness, our energy field, intuition. And so it does take practice to interrupt that intellectual override. Like, oh, it stopped raining. Who brought an umbrella today? All right, we got a couple. Yeah, and your intuition said, you know what? I better, bring it again. So sometimes it comes as a flash of intuition. I get it sometimes when I'm doing dishes. I don't know why, but doing dishes and on this little idea will pop. So play with that this week. See what that is for you. People have often asked, how can I tell if my intuition comes from God or it's from my human mind or my ego? And I like this from a Unity teacher. He says it's usually a quiet voice, but it can be a persistent voice, a quiet voice. And it's a neutral or loving voice. It's not a shaming voice. But she said, if it rises from purity rather than confusion and leads me to action that helps me sleep better at night, chances are it's a wise course of action. Amen. So we remember that wisdom doesn't emerge from confusion or worry or fear, but through the stillness of our own hearts, and we each have access to that. So this week, let it grow in you. Trust it. Attend to it. Let it surprise you. See it growing in others. I'm going to close with a short piece by Mark Nebo. A troubled man, exhausted from his suffering and confusion, asked a sage for help. The sage looked deeply into his eyes and with compassion offered him a choice. You may either have a map or a boat. After looking at the many pilgrims around him, all who seemed equally troubled, the confused man said, I'll take the boat. The sage kissed him on the forehead and said, Go then, you are the boat. Life is the sea. This ability to listen inside is our oldest oar. And so it is.